Welcome, and here we go again. Now today, I'm here to continue my series of sorry, I forgot. Yes, continuing my series of ranking the series, and I'm going to be doing the Jon Pertwee one. The Jon Pertwee ranking the series using the Who meter and doing the usual thing like we did with William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. Jon Pertwee obviously played the Third Doctor, and we're going to be doing all 5 series in one chunk. So we better get on with it, shouldn't we? So let's start off in the best possible series today with Series 7. Now, Series 7 is probably just behind Series 12 in my as my second favourite series of not only Classic Who, but Doctor Who in general. It's a fantastic series, and it is probably the most consistent in Doctor Who's history. While Series 12 has Genesis of the Daleks and Ark in Space, probably that are 2 top 10 stories, this series has some fantastic episodes, including the best Jon Pertwee episode, Inferno, which is absolutely tremendous. So Series 7 is absolutely fantastic. It's a strong series, and I think it's going to get strong scores when we go over to the Who meter in a second. It's got Liz Shaw, who I think is a very underrated and fantastic companion, who's not really brought up much when we're talking about Doctor companions, but I think she's fantastic. And perhaps, I think she's stronger than Jo as a companion, and that's an unpopular opinion, very unpopular, but it's my opinion. You're going to have to deal with it if you're watching this video. Let's go over to the Who meter and rank Series 7 among the first 6 seasons. So this is the shiny Who meter. I am catacombed in here. There's hardly any space. You probably can't see it because it's very hard to see. But here's Series 1. So what I do is I rank them all out of 10, and then there's the series down here, and then I'm going to rank all of them from best to worst. So Series 7, it's a bit out of line here. Series 7, there is 6 series there. I'm going to go for the big guns here. I am going to go for a 10. Yes, a 10. Duh, duh, duh. Insert sound effect. Series 7 is perfect. I'm sorry, it's the most consistent Doctor Who series of all time. Series 8 then. Series 8 isn't quite as strong as Series 7, but it's still a pretty strong one. There are some really good Doctor Who stories. There's not really a weak one in this series. Colony in Space, D. Cool, who's on the podcast with me, Doctor Time and Space, if you want to check that out, is a fantastic episode in his opinion. However, it isn't in mine. I think it's pretty meh, and it's quite low down on the Dawn ranking as well. You know, when they rated all 241 episodes from best to worst back in 2014. If you don't know that, check it out online. Type in the Dawn top 200, first 50 years poll. It's quite interesting. I think the best episode of this series is the Diamonds, which is the finale. It's fantastic, and but not quite as good as Inferno. Well, nowhere near as good as Inferno, let's say, but it's got some brilliant moments. So, how would I rank it on the Who meter? It's about on the same level as Series 5, so I'm going to give this one a 8. So Series 8 gets a 8, which is fantastic, but not quite as strong as the 10 which came before it. Series 9 then, Series 9 is it's got some really great stories in it. It's where I think they started to go sometimes away from the whole Exile to Earth thing, which I love. I love the Exile to Earth thing, and I think the Jon Pertwee stories are at their strongest when they're in the Exile to Earth. So, you know, they're fantastic when they do that because they're really original and brilliant. The best episode of this series, I need a bit of a recap. Oh yes, I remember now. I'd probably say Curse of Peladon, to be honest, as the best episode of this series, but Sea Devils is a close second. Time Monster I'm quite a big fan of. It's quite an underrated gem, but it's not one of the strongest episodes of all of Doctor Who, let alone this season. So, let's move over to the Who meter and see where it would be ranked. And also, I forgot to mention that Series 8 is the one with the Roger Delgado Master being in every episode. So, let's give Series 9... It's a bit inconsistent. It's not quite as good. I'm going to give it a 7. So, I would say the Jon Pertwee era is the most consistent era of Doctor Who. It's fantastic. And it does consistency really well. There's not a awful story like there usually is in one of the Doctors. Gunfighters, Dominators, I don't know, Ribos Operation. Well, Ribos Operation you might not think terrible, but I do. And that's my opinion. And if you don't respect my opinion, get out. Series 10 is the big 10th anniversary year. They kicked it off with the multi-Doctor story, The Three Doctors, which is fantastic. The best multi-Doctor story, excluding Day of the Doctor, I would say. And it's brilliant. Omega is introduced. Of course, later on in the series, we have the wonderful Frontier in Space, which is a personal favourite of mine from this era. And I would say that the strongest episode of this series, though, is the finale once again, and that's the Green Death. It's really great. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. It's quite modern in some of its approaches because it tries to tackle some issues that were happening over the time, and I really like that. It's a really fantastic series, episode even story. I don't know what I'm talking about today. So, Series 10, where would it rank on the Who meter? Doing this quite quickly today because there's 5 seasons to get through, so if there's anything else you would like to know about my opinions on the Jon Pertwee era, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to reply. If there's anything that's really good, I might even do a separate video on it. Series 10's going to get an 8 like Series 8 did, so nothing's quite getting to the point that Series 7 did, but some things are getting quite close. Series 11's weaker than Series 10. So it's on about Series 8 level, Series 9 level, really. There's some good ones. Invasion of the Dinosaurs is another underrated gem. It's fantastic. One of my favourite stories from this era. If you don't like it, then please try and rewatch it. It's fantastic. I liked it from first watch, and we all like different Doctor Who stories, but that one's brilliant. The Time Warrior is brilliant. I've used that word a lot, but there's a lot of fantastic Jon Pertwee stories. And Planet of the Spiders is a great finale as well. I'm a big fan of it. Okay, so there's also Monster of Peladon and Death of the Daleks, which are okay. As I say, there's no bad Jon Pertwee stories, in my opinion. You may think otherwise, but there's no bad Jon Pertwee stories, in my opinion. So let's move over to the Who meter and see where I rank it among the other 10 series so far. Okay, so I would say, like earlier, I said it was about on Series 9 level, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Series 11. Series 11 gets a 7. Right then, I thank you for listening today. Sorry, it's been a bit juggly in terms of my speaking, and I don't know why. I often do that. I often go on things like that. But, you know, you're probably used to that if you watch me. Thank you for watching, though. Next time I will be here for part 1 of my ranking the series of Tom Baker, part 1. As the 7 whole series of Tom Baker, I've decided to do them in 2 chunks. I think I'm going to do series 12 to 14 and then series 15 to 18 in 2 separate videos. And then we'll crack on with the other Doctors. Also, I'll be here with various discussions on items, and I'll get out that Too Good Too Bad podcast. And there will be another one coming. I say in the podcast that it's going to be 2001: A Space Odyssey. I might do a solo one, but please, again, leave your comments below if you would like to see a solo in the form of Too Good Too Bad, or just in a normal YouTube review, because I have seen Solo now, and I've got a lot of opinions to share on it, but I don't want to ruin those, whether I liked it or not, until I do the video. So, thank you for listening, guys. I will be back next time, same space. Goodbye!